Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking Siege. It's been a while, but we're here with a little bit of an impromptu episode. We thought we don't have anything really scheduled, but I mean, it's just been Rio finals. We've had so much stuff happening. We kind of have to talk about it. So, me, Skye, Cthulhu, the whole podcast team here to chat about all this stuff. How are you guys going?
Doing pretty good. So I'm actually hyped to talk about and discuss all the things that we've seen throughout the past several weeks.
Yeah, it's nice to have the OG gang back. Unfortunately, no Emzo, but I'll be his replacement for the time being.
That's all right.
I might not be as good on.
You look just the same anyway. I reckon you just need like a little bit more going on over here, and then no one will be able to tell the difference. I probably should have said this like in the title or something, but there will be spoilers, as you can tell from looking at your screen right now, which actually has the entire spoilers of the Rio event on screen, and we're gonna have a chat about that because a lot of kind of interesting things happened, especially if you're a fan of APAC.
Oh yeah, and we've seen during the quarterfinals. We did see was it quarterfinals?
Yeah, the quarters was when the big matches happened.
Yeah, the quarters were essentially where the whole interesting stuff happened, and yeah, I think the next day after I woke up, because I didn't actually manage to catch any of the results. I woke up and decided, instead of just heading straight to Discord, pop up on Wikipedia and check all the results. And I'm like looking at it like, okay, Nora won Rogue. I predicted that stuff. That was easy. And then Fnatic 2-0 EG. I was like, hold up, what? Did they like screw up the results for everything? Like,
yeah. Like that, it was crazy because obviously it was like, what was it, like 1:30 a.m. when the first match started on Saturday night? So I stayed up for FaZe Clan and Mocket because I thought that was gonna be a close one. Like I thought Mocket's been doing pretty well, and I'd be interested to see how they're going against FaZe Clan. So I stayed up for that with the hope that I would at least be able to stay up then for Nora Rengo. But it was like map 3 of FaZe versus Mocket. I was so tired. It was 2:30 a.m. and I was like, it was the point where I wasn't actually being able to understand what was going on and enjoy the stream. I was just falling asleep. So I closed it. I remembered where I was up to. And the next morning I got up and I had to take my girlfriend to the airport because she's gone to Italy. And she had already checked Twitter. She already knew all the results from the last night. And so the first thing she asked me is, have you seen the results? And like the fact that she said that to me meant that I knew that something had happened, but I was like, don't tell me. And I went home after dropping her off and I just watched all of the matches and I was like, something's going to happen. So when Nora won, I was like, look, like Cthulhu, yeah, I kind of called it. Like, I mean, I think Nora have been doing really well, so it's understandable that they beat Rogue, but like Fnatic over EG, what?
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty stunning stuff. I think because I know there's some people like, I don't know if you guys know Beer Scotch, who like he religiously doesn't want anything to be spoiled, and obviously, you know, I respect that. And he's been quite unfortunate on a few occasions. But you know, I don't really like, if I don't watch the game and I get it spoiled, like I'll probably still watch it anyway. So I sort of went on Twitter, and the first thing I see is the meme of Dizzle rolling the bread, and I'm just like, this is gonna be so good. And then I watched it. It was great.
I mean, the amount of memes that the whole fact that Dizzle was their player for that moment, that was just amazing, and the memes were like just top of the line as well. But yeah, I think it was it was Intero that tweeted out that all memes aside, the team that doesn't have anything to lose is a scary team to play against, and Fnatic pretty much pulled that. Plus, the way that they play is apparently one of the play styles that not a whole lot of teams, especially in NA, can counter. So, I mean, props to Fnatic. They managed to do the unexpected. So, heck, I mean,
I'm
massive,
keep trying to
massive
find these.
To them.
I'm going to keep trying to find these memes while we're watching because I need to put them on stream because everyone needs to appreciate how good these memes are. My God, they're just the pure amount of content that people produce. The fact that Dizzle won was just like unbelievable. Like, I feel like we haven't had that much meme potential out of any single event so far.
Yeah.
And like, all memes aside, Dizzle actually for that first best of 3 against EG, like he played alright. Like he played pretty well.
Yeah.
Like it was like, I would imagine people still making memes like if they won. And Dizzle, like,
the main meme Skye, toggle aim.
Well, I know. Hey, talking to Monkey Fist, like he's been telling me about toggle aim religiously for a long time. So, hey, like it's funny. It's not the first person to do it, but I guess it is still a little bit of a meme.
But you see, Dev, a monkey is a
Caster.
Ashman.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
he's an
Okay.
Ashman. Whereas Dizzle was pulling that stuff on Thatcher and the all other stuff,
Yeah. All right.
which is absolutely hilarious as well to me. But
All right. So let's see if I can get this. Look at this
what else was I
meme.
gonna say?
You guys should be able to see it on screen. In fact, I'm gonna copy.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't copy paste it to you guys, unfortunately. But like, this was only one of the many memes. The best one was the bread one, I've got to say. But
no,
like,
it wasn't even the bread. It was the one where they were comparing Dizzle to one of the guys from Game of Thrones.
I don't remember that one.
Like that guy versus the White Walkers.
Oh yes,
no wonder we were lost.
yes. And he looks like Tormund Giantsbane from the from Game of Thrones. Yeah, no, I thought that was just so good. So yeah, like memes aside, I went back to watch that game this afternoon because I'd watched it on Sunday, and I don't know, I had to rewatch it. Like I didn't believe it. I mean, I believed the result, but like, you know, how is it actually happening? Like, how is EG playing like this? And like, how is Fnatic, you know, really taking advantage of it? And I think that like you said, Cthulhu, is like the fact that they didn't have that pressure. And like, it was one of the things that Milosh said during the cast. He was like, if you go into an exam knowing that you've already passed the subject, like
you'll fail.
Yeah, you do better because you're you know, that pressure's off. You just have to do it. Like that's I think that's just so interesting to see demonstrated in such a drastic result.
And back onto the subject of Monkey's love of toggle aim, I just saw a tweet from Neo. He posted it 7 hours ago, but he said, "Is toggle aim the future?" And Monkey said, "Toggle aim is now."
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised.
Monkey clearly a big fan, big activist on that.
Yeah, has been preaching it for a while. But as for the other matches, like I feel like we've talked about the main one. You know, Fnatic EG is the most surprising one of all. But later in the bracket, there was something that was a bit opposite. Fnatic versus G2. Like, I stayed up for that one. So on the second night, I was like, man, 2 APAC teams into semifinals. I have to stay up. I watched the first one, FaZe Clan versus Nora, and like Nora, like they were playing all right, but they just like they weren't the Nora that we've seen. Even Fabian said that in an interview later. He said that, you know, they've scrimmed Nora a lot, and this wasn't the Norenga that they're used to. And then I stayed up for that one, and then for the G2 versus Fnatic one, and that was that. Well, Fnatic made history twice in the same event. Once by being one of the first APAC teams to make it to a semi-final, and secondly by being the first team at a PC finals event to get 12-0'd.
It feels bad, but that's the thing about you know, having no pressure. It can either go terribly wrong, and look, let's be real. They didn't expect to get anything out of that second match. They just wanted to have a good time, and good on them. But yeah, 12-0, it's not great, unfortunately.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Hawk linked a simply amazing link that I'm just losing my
This is
stuff
the
on.
they got a coach meme.
Yeah,
I'm trying to put it up right now.
Oh, he linked it in the chat. Hold on, sorry, I linked the wrong one, I think. No, I linked the right one, the status one.
Yeah, no, it's just that I can't take it from Discord.
Oh, there's the bread one.
Yeah, I found a bread
there's
one.
There's a better bread one.
I'm gonna save this one.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
What? It's so perfect. And the hit markers, it's just like, how could they do this better? I don't know.
We don't. This is some. I think Shivi said this in the chat. We might as well just do a meme.
Yeah, it's pretty much just a meme review of the entire event. All right, here's the other one that you liked, Cthulhu, and the one that Hawk posted in chat. This is a video. Sorry, it's a GIF. It's the
while Dev is sorting out the next meme, um, Uber Timmy has actually got a question for us,
Right.
which is, I have a question for you. It looks like we're going to see another NA shuffle. Do you think this is a good thing?
I don't think NA is the only region getting a shuffle. We already
Yeah,
know that
well,
this NZ getting a shuffle, but like I guess the is it a good thing part? I know, like look at G2, right? They've
yeah,
had the same core for a really long time. Pengu and Fabian have been playing each other for so long, and they've had Goga with them for ages as well. Like Kanto's the only real new addition to the roster. Like Eunice, Pengu, Fabian, Goga were all on the team that beat Black Dragons in the grand final of Year 2 Season 1 in
yeah,
the first time that we had the Brazilians in the Pro League. And like they've only changed out one position. Like yes, they've had Shate and Kanto, but they've only changed out one position that whole time. And I think that speaks to the fact that, nailing down, getting a good roster that's not just your 5 players, but also your coach or coaches, as G2 has Feral as well as Shaz. I think that's what's really important. Like, make minor adjustments as needed, but stick with, the best.
I
And
think
build.
Atletico. Yeah. I think Atletico is a great example. We all know that they stuck together for like quite a while. I don't know how, like a year or something. I don't know. It was a long time. They brought Ethan and Derp on, I think, but they were pretty consistent. And now recently Todd has departed. But like I feel like they changed their roster. We would have to assume that they changed it because on a success level, they were playing really well. So
Yeah.
I would have to assume that the reason they changed their roster was more so internal disagreements and just stuff happening internally. Not necessarily because they weren't performing as a team. And I feel like most of the time when you look at like it seems like people are making roster changes because they want to be better and be a better team rather than changing because there's actually internal disagreements and problems. So
hmm
maybe if like I don't know where I'm going with this, but if NA teams like well obviously not specifically NA, but maybe just try to stick together for a little longer and try figure things out. But obviously it's very difficult to say like what the problems are with certain teams.
Okay. Um,
For
I
NA, I
reckon.
feel that one of the biggest things is losing BC for EG.
Yeah, that was a big hit. Um, I do have to agree on that, but I mean, EG definitely looked like they were just missing on a whole lot of communication. Like, because some of the runouts, some of the stuff that Aces has been pulling off, like that should not have happened.
Yeah,
Like,
there's
we all saw that run out, jump out with the Ella shotgun, where he guns down nearly 3 people, and only then gets taken down. Like, how was that even allowed? Like,
yeah,
the EG that I knew would have a claymore already prepped for that, even like no matter what, and would have at least a person playing for that. But because Fnatic was such a wild card when with their plays, like they couldn't even read that. Like it was actually nuts.
yeah.
But here's another question actually from the chat. What do you guys think China will be included into PL? Definitely. What do you like? If UB is already making a client adjustments for it, well, now that they're reverting it back on the global one,
About Brazilians.
um, I definitely think that this could happen, but on for it to like full on move into its full scale, the changes like the aesthetic changes are going to happen.
Well, did you see the thing about how the aesthetic changes are going to be?
Yeah, that's why I said like that
Yeah,
even though that the global client has been reverted.
I think it's a way off still. Um, I don't know. I don't think we're going to be seeing it, next season or next year even. I think it's a
I'll,
gradual process.
I'd say we're going to see probably end of next year, China.
You reckon?
Yeah, I do think that that might happen, or at the very least, something like start of Go Force / Challenger League for China.
It would be good
Um,
that if there's more ESL support, full stop for them. I think that's one of the
well,
things that we just need to develop in the whole region.
didn't ESL just recently made like a big advancement? Like Nick Vanzetti got moved to a Singapore Singapore office, and the Australian office currently has a new new chief.
Yeah,
Nick
they-
Van
remember
Nick,
that.
Nick Vanzetti, by the way, for those who don't know, is the head of ESL Australia.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just a kind of a more global change within ESL, and I guess that will affect how things work a little bit over here. I don't really know the way that like you said, like ESL Australia is going to become more involved in the rest of Asia, with Nick
Definitely.
and some of the other people moving to Asia. But I don't know how much of Asia is going to be kind of experience that, I guess.
Mm.
Like, I don't know. It's difficult to say. I think China, in a lot of ways, is just complicated to deal with because of the whole political situation, which I'm not going to claim to be any expert on. I don't think it's going to happen soon, though. But I did get the clip up for you guys. I think even you guys can see it. This is the Aces run out where he starts by getting 2 kills with the shotgun, and then like, this is the thing that you were saying, Cthulhu. Like, even if there wasn't a claymore there, like, they should have been prepared to deal with it. And even
Yeah.
here, Aces still keeps getting kills, which is just ridiculous. Like, that should never have happened.
Yeah. And look how like on the camera he just looks chill. Like he knows what's up.
Yeah. And in contrast, like, you could see Necrox there. He was like sweat pouring down his face. He wasn't so happy. One of the things I gotta say though, that was pretty awesome about the entire event, the Brazilian crowd. Like, not only, what was it, Skye, like 10,000 or something people.
Yeah, I
Yes,
heard
yeah.
10,000.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of that.
Not only like the sheer number, but like the fact that they were cheering on, like, I'm biased, I want them to cheer on APAC, but they were really cheering on the underdogs in the underdog matches. Well, obviously they were cheering on the Latin American teams more than anything. Look at Lusty. But like, I think it was pretty awesome to see that power that they had wasn't just reserved for the Latin American teams.
And you know who came into form this event? Rizraz. Rizraz was so hyped, it was ridiculous. Like, I've never seen Rizraz that
Rizraz was just absolutely like losing his nuts. I think him and Aces, like you saw Aces when he got killed on that shotgun, he just jumped like he was already getting pumped for that stuff. And yeah, I mean, I'm still call it shocked, but yeah, I was like thoroughly amazed after I watched the VOD. That was like making me proud.
One thing that I thought was super interesting was seeing how the Fnatic team changed the way that they hype each other up. One of the things I've noticed recently, like talking to a lot of players in the ANZ league, is how much it actually matters to have a player on your team who's going to hype up the team. That energy is so important, and obviously we kind of all know Magnet is that kind of persona. Like, that's his thing. He likes, getting hyped and shouting and stuff. So I thought maybe with him missing from the roster, they'd be lacking that, which is exactly what they needed in this scenario where they just need to kind of build on the hype. But clearly, like you said, like Rizraz stepped into that, even like Dizzle maybe. I mean, Dizzle's a fairly quiet-spoken guy in a lot of ways, but, he seemed to kind of step into that despite that.
I wonder if that was the strat to get Rizraz hyped to like replace Magnet's role.
Well, I saw a lot of funny tweets from Magnet about like, all right, guys, I'm going to coach now. See you later.
Yeah, in before Magnet becomes the coach and Dizzle just gets back to being a core player. Because, I mean, all things considered, Dizzle played fairly well.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab another clip now for you guys. This one is kind of showing off how just like excited Rizraz was. This is on Matt Andrews. Matt Andrews, the show host. Highly recommend you go to Matt Andrews' YouTube channel. He did so much, and just to show you how much he did for this event, he was just vlogging basically the whole time. And as the desk host and the stage host, he has access to all of these areas and all of these players, but he also has a ton of time because he's only on for a couple minutes every now and then. So like, all the videos that he did during this period, he interviewed like every team that won, a lot of teams that lost, like before, after, he shows around the venue. Like, it was really cool. Massive hats off to him for doing that, and I highly recommend it. Now, you guys won't have audio for this, but like just watching, like this is after the match, and like Dizzle's excited, you know, the phone's just going off constantly, and Rizraz just like can't contain himself. It's so good to see.
Yeah, it's incredible. It really
Well,
is.
While we have the clip rolling of a very happy Rizraz and everything, but I do want to say, I mean, not say, talk about the upcoming operation. Quick Bastion. I mean, Quick Bastion. I read
Wind
the
Bastion.
chat. I read the chat saying, asking quick question, and Quick Bastion. Like, wait, hold up.
Have you guys had a chance? I don't think that many people have had a chance to play on the TTS yet, but I was watching a couple of videos of the people who had flown there and played it, people like Macy J and Rogue9 and Get Flanked. And then I jumped on the TTS and played one casual game, and then I got annoyed and went to Twitter like everyone. But like, you know, it was interesting. I like the ideas behind a lot of the stuff. I think it's gonna take the thing that I noticed, like playing one casual match, it's gonna take a long time, as always, to learn the new map, and it's frustrating at first, but it'll take a little while.
Skye, what do you reckon?
Of the new operation in general.
Yeah.
I think it's good. The new map, it's impossible to tell how good it is. I guess like looking from the outside, it certainly looks like it has potential, but obviously until people play it a decent amount, it's pretty difficult to tell. As for the new operators, I think is Kite the one with the bandit mine things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he will have a lot of use in Pro League. Nomad is like at first everyone's looking like, oh my god, it's so OP, it's so good. And I completely agree, but how much use it will actually have in Pro League, I'm not sure just yet. I feel like
a fair bit actually. Sorry, I cut you off on this one, Skye.
like I guess it seems like that from the outside, but sort of like when we saw Clash, I feel like a lot of people said the same thing, like, oh, it's going to be so OP. And although Clash was at the start, and I know Dev knows quite well about Clash and overpowered. He had a good few Twitter chats about that, but at the start, everyone said Clash was OP, and you know, agree or disagree, whatever. But in the state she's in right now, I don't feel like she's that overpowered or overpowered at all, for that matter. I feel like maybe at the start, Nomad will be pretty good, but I feel like she's certainly an operator. I feel like they can nerf to a spot where she'll be in a playable state that's fair.
I just feel like operators are in their best position when there's a lot of complicated ways to interact with them. And also, I was talking to Skye about this the other day. I reckon one of the... Look, I'm not a game designer or anything. In fact, Cthulhu, you have experience in game design.
Mm-hmm.
One of the pillars that I feel with developing a fun experience is don't take away control from the player. Don't make the player feel like they don't have control over their person, over what they're doing. Make them feel like when they're getting punished, it's fair. And like playing against Nomad, who can then throw you to the floor, which makes you unable to do anything for like a second or two or whatever while you pick up. Meanwhile, the Nomad can actually switch to her primary weapon and shoot you while you're still on the floor. It seems like, even if it's not going to be the most useful at a competitive setting, I don't think it'll be very fun to play against, which is my main worry.
It won't be fun to play against, but it will be fun to play with.
Yeah.
I would agree with you that taking away kind of the control is a bit of an oddity, but I'd say if, well, first of all, when Nomad shoots her grenade launcher, there's a visible laser.
Yeah.
So that's one giveaway. So that gives a fair bit of precaution about like what's gonna happen. Second of all, I feel that if you could add something like a sound to a grenade, like emit something like just small kind of vibrating sound or something, just very subtle, but you can still hear like in somewhat quietness.
I was thinking even just like, you know how it detonates immediately when it comes in someone's proximity, so it's like a projectile. What if it's just like it takes a second to detonate, like half a second or something, so it can land, but then after it registers as in proximity to an enemy, it takes like just a quick moment, and like it makes some noise like choo, and then the enemies who are like, oh crap, like there's a thing about to hit me, they have like just a moment to react and call it out to their teammates or something like that.
Well, another thing is, yeah, you could argue with that, but then again, this will make it on a higher level it will make Nomad obsolete because people will be able just to shoot it out before it
That's true.
before it charges up.
I hadn't thought about that.
But here's the thing: indirect help will be buffing right now Jaeger, giving him another ADS, or upping the amount of charges the ADS has, because that will be able to counter fully the Nomad.
What about adding what about like an overlap operator for Jaeger? So because Jaeger at the moment is like really high pick rate. We don't really need more pick rate on Jaeger. But if we had another operator that had the same purpose of Jaeger, in the same way that we're getting Kaid, who's an overlap to Mutant Bandit, I feel like that'd be good. And I definitely agree. Like maybe more counters, more interactions would be good.
More counters, because at least for the start of the year, this Nomad would feel fairly well in a good spot. Same goes with Kaid, and the beauty right now that like before, some people will be saying that Clash needs a nerf or something, or Clash needs a counter. This is a perfect counter for her.
Yeah.
So at this point, Yubi could easily do that for the season after win Bastion. So to be honest, right now I do feel that they've done a good job on her balancing.
Yeah, I mean it makes you think. Like the Zofia counter to Clash is now nothing compared to the Nomad counter, especially since Zofia only has 2 concussions now instead of 4, where she used to, and then 3 more recently, whereas Nomad has 3 of her explosive charges.
Yeah, but yeah, because at this point Zofia has kind of used up all her usability against Clash, so now you have a full-on hard counter against Clash in the face of Nomad. So now Zofia can use her grenades for a completely different purpose and completely focus on different thing. But
I could, if you want, I can grab a question out of chat. I noticed some people asking some stuff. So maybe Skye, you can weigh in on this one. This is from Broken in chat. Do you reckon Mute will be meta now with his amazing changes? For those who don't know, Mute's now getting the SMG-11 that previously was only available to Smoke and Sledge, so that seems pretty good to me. And I think that's actually it. So SMG-11 has gotten added to Mute, and the SMG-11 damage is slightly higher. So Broken said, do you think Mute will be meta now? For example, playing on Oregon Laundry Stairs, you have already used your utility, so unlike Smoke, you don't have to stay alive, and you have nothing left to lose by playing aggressive, but you can challenge on the stairs with your shotgun and your SMG until you die. I think it's interesting.
I have a question. I saw a tweet earlier. Are SMG-11s getting their ACOGs back, or is that a meme?
That was a meme.
That is a meme.
Who tweeted that? Was it?
I have no idea. I didn't see it.
I'm looking this up now.
Yeah,
it was Enzo. I'm pretty hyped about me getting an SMG now that the recoil better.
I think you misread it.
Oh,
Skye. Maybe it was.
I just saw he didn't say anything about the about the ACOG. It just, the picture had an ACOG on it, so I was like, what? I misread it, but I think that the buff to Mute, I feel like it's a good thing. I feel like the next thing would be, do you add it to Thatcher maybe? Because otherwise I'm gonna get triggered because OCD.
It's like 3 operators have it, but
3 operators,
but
why not 1?
I would love it as a Thatcher player.
I feel like there's not really any reason not to add it to Thatcher if they're gonna add it to Mute. Where like I wouldn't have necessarily said to add it to Mute before, but like it's not really a bad thing they've done it. I just don't really see a reason why Thatcher shouldn't have it as well, to be honest.
Fair point. I do think that this would definitely up Mute's pick rate. The addition of SMG-11. But at the same time, I do think that Mute is going to still stay viable. I mean, Smoke is going to stay viable.
Yeah. The other thing I think is is really cool is just the fact that he's gonna, like, there are a lot of sites, and historically, even before Mirror came out, this was even more so. There are a lot of sites where you don't actually need the gas utility. Like, there are other utility which might be more useful, but you need smoke because he has a shotgun and he opens up all the stuff. Like, for example, on Border, if you're defending vents downstairs, you have a lot of destruction to do. You need to open up all the holes in the armory side and above, and maybe hatches as well, so that you can have an influence on the downstairs bomb sites from above. But you don't necessarily need the gas. Like, yeah, there are ways you can use it on that bomb site, but you might prefer some other utility. Well, now you have the option, oh, maybe we don't want the gas, but we do want some mute jammers. Well, you can now use that, and mute is viable to just run with shotgun and SMG-11 in the same way that smoke does. So I think that's going to be pretty cool. I love the MP5K though, so like I'm probably going to be running that still. I guess it'll come down to like sites just
55k with an SMG-11. That's just
it's more. So I guess just more options. I think it's a good thing. I think it'll be fun to play as. But on the flip side of that, like Mute's pick rate might not go up because of this, because in the grander scheme of things, we now have not just two operators that can deny reinforced walls being breached, that is Bandit and Mute. We also have Kaid. So now Mute is maybe even less attractive relative to that.
And maybe it's possible the reason they added the SMG was to make sure that he still sort of stayed in the frame of things, not completely dropped. Because I can imagine if Kaid got added, and Bandit and Mute didn't have this SMG, like he could really plummet off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Like he still had some uses, but like he wouldn't really be up there with Kaid and Bandit, I feel, if he didn't have ACOG. I mean, not ACOG.
Here's one thing though to think about. Like, one way that I could like respond, like rebut that thing you said, Skye, would be like, oh well, Mute can deny drones. He's really good at intel denial. Well, now that Kaid, so previously in the past, you could destroy drones using bandited barbed wire, electrified barbed wire, but your bandit charge is right in the middle of it. It's really easy to shoot out or use a twitch drone to take it out. But now with Kaid, you can hide the spider claw, the Kaid electroclaw, behind a wall that electrifies some barbed wire so that your drone can't pass through it. You have to try and jump over, or if you're twitch drone, you don't even have that option. And it's not really possible to shoot it either. So that's another way to deny drones. So Mute now isn't the only viable way to really deny drones in doorways as well, which I think is going to be pretty interesting to see whether we see more electrified barbed wire now that change has come through.
I mean, with Kaid, it definitely feels that he's going to be very high-picked, but Bandit is still going to be, open for that, because Bandit is, I do still say that Bandit is way more flexible in regards to bandit tricking. His weapons are just absolutely amazing. Whereas Kaid's, I think his Orc Bearer has a little bit less fire rate.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I have the stats. I'm not sure if the stats are on here. I don't think they are. But like, yeah, stats aren't. But I watched a video earlier today. I think it was Rogue 9 or Get Flanked. And just looking at the raw stats of these weapons. So first up, Kaid. The Org A3, I think it was like 700 ballpark figure fire rate. So that's like similar to like the
Valkyrie.
No, Valkyrie's is 800. So Valkyrie's is even faster. But like slower than Valkyrie and Mute. You know, a bit slower than that. More like slower, like even slower than Jaeger actually. And it actually does like pistol damage. Honestly, it's like 27 damage, which is like not great as well. The recoil's pretty good. I think it's meant to be like a gun which is like not great but easy to use, kind of like the UMP. And him being like a 1-speed operator, I think that's going to be fairly weak. On the flip side though, he does have this shotgun, this slug shotgun, which is kind of like a DMR with a ton of recoil. It does 81 damage. For reference, that's more than Glaz's gun, but less than the Boss G. And it has an ACOG, so that's going to help. And not to mention, we haven't even talked about this 44, the Magnum, his secondary weapon, has an ACOG. ACOG's back onto secondaries again, guys.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff. What I do like about Kaid is that they have sort of balanced him. They've given him very powerful utility, and they've made him a 1-speed. As you said, they haven't given him the best gun. So it's sort of nice that people have to make that trade. Not whereas you have operators like, Bandit, very powerful 3-speed, Ella, very powerful 3-speed. Like, it's good that they really have made that change, and that they've made a 1-speed that doesn't have a, well, the shoddy, as you said, has an ACOG, but
It's
I
not the
would
same for me.
imagine, I'd imagine in most situations you're gonna probably opt for that AUG, and for them to give him his sort of main use weapon and not have an ACOG, it just shows that I mean, they're making moves.
It's like the opposite of Maestro, right? Maestro had amazing utility, like really unique, amazing, another viable set of anchor and plantinol utility and intel gathering. Oh, and by the way, he's got an LMG with like a 900 fire rate and like 30 something damage and like no recoil and good hip fire. Like, what? That really annoyed me. I completely agree. And in fact, I reckon the trend continues with Nomad, because the AKM, that's like 650, I think, fire rate. It's like on the lower end, more like Capitao, but it does like really bad damage compared to Capitao's done. It has 40 rounds in the mag, which is displayed incorrectly in game in the stats, but when you actually get into game, it has a 40 round mag. So it's like, weak gun with like a higher mag, so you can make that choice. And then the ARX is more like a Type 89. It's got higher fire rate and better damage, but only 20 rounds in the mag. So I like this way that you're getting options. Like Nomad, you go for mag size, but worse overall, or better, but like really risky, because if you run out of bullets, then, you're screwed. And you don't have, like, Hibana has like the bearing and an automatic secondary to fall back on, whereas Nomad only has the Magnum. So I just really like that the way that they're approached to weapons now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to have another AK.
Yes. And I don't know if you're a gun nut, Cthulhu, but I was reading comments on some YouTube videos about how triggered these gun nuts were that this is not actually an AK-74M. Apparently it's an AKM, and apparently it's unrealistic that you can put a muzzle brake on it, and apparently it's unrealistic that it's got 40 rounds in the magazine. Basically, the gun nuts are going crazy because Ubisoft aren't being realistic.
Okay, no. The thing is, yeah, the reason why gun nuts are going crazy is because of how Ubi did it with the front sights. Because if you wanted to have an AK-74M, it would have a longer barrel, and you can put, well, it's not a muzzle brake per se, it's a compensator that usually comes on stock with it. So yeah, there is a slight toss-up. That's one. Yeah, mag size should be 30, because the usual standard banana mag on the AKs is 30 rounds. The rest of like mods and stuff on it is fairly accurate, so there's not really that many screw-ups, but I would imagine they've done it for the sheer fact that maybe AKM license was a bit too expensive compared to 74M, because 74M is an older model, it's an older version, and uses a different round chambered. Because, for example, the AKM uses the 7.62, which is a pretty hefty round compared to the usual 5.56, whereas the AK-74, I believe, was adopted for 5.45, which is a NATO round.
I think that's what they said that this one is meant to use, and still the gun nuts weren't happy with that. But I think that's what Ubisoft said, because they were trying to figure out a way of justifying the mag size of 40 rounds in the magazine. Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, when it comes down to it, like, I respect the gun nuts, great, but like, I want to play a competitive game. Like, if it's not entirely realistic, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it to me it feels alright. Like, I mean, AK with a 40 round and decent damage, decent fire rate is pretty much perfect. But aesthetically wise, yeah, I would agree with the gun nuts, but it's not as crucial to the gameplay.
Now there was a comment from Cutie in the chat. With a slow primary gun or a shotgun with ACOG, and ACOG pistol is basically another smoke but different utilities such as shotgun for destruction and secondary for main killing. I actually agree with this. Like, this secondary weapon, this Magnum, like, I think it's not the same as having an automatic weapon, but I think it's still good. Like, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember the damage on it, but it's like, I'm pretty sure it's 2-shot kill. It's got an ACOG. It recall's like there, but there's recall on the Deagle. The Deagle's still one of the best pistols in the game. And you've got, I think, 7 rounds. So it's kind of like a Deagle with an ACOG almost. I don't know if once I play with it more.
Damage. It has lower damage than the Deagle, though.
Does it? Okay.
Yeah.
I still think from what I've seen, it looks really powerful, and I do kind of agree.
yeah.
Like, sorry, no, we're looking at Nomad now, but looking at Kaid, this shotgun, even if you don't run ACOG on the shotgun, you've got ACOG on your secondary. This shotgun, like, I've seen how it tears up walls. It's not terrible. Like, even though it's a slug shotgun, it can get rid of the metal beams that support walls,
Yeah.
which is the most difficult thing, because like even like a Jaeger's gun can get rid of a whole wall, just not the metal beams. And so I think it's actually like really going to be good for opening up sites.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all, I guess it's all about how people like experiment with it.
Yeah.
We've got a few people in the chat complaining about realism, and then Shaq brought up Cav's pistol, which is 99 damage. We all have a bit of realism, especially with Cav. Cav
You do not.
Cav Cav really gets to me. I just don't like that operator very much. Not the I like the concept. I don't like the old
execution.
the old one tap hip fire down. It's
Yeah.
not fun.
I reckon it'd be nicer if it was like 49 damage or something, but it doesn't have as much damage drop off, so it's like viable at long ranges. I don't know. I think that'd be better. And actually, I think it really bothers me, especially in playing comp settings. Like if you're playing like R6TM or Pug Knight or something, or even a scrim, playing Cav, like if you want to like quickly down someone and then quickly finish them off because you've decided it's not safe to interrogate, it can take half your magazine just to kill them after they're downed, because it's like I don't know what it is. I feel like the developers have programmed something in it to prevent people from accidentally killing targets that they want to interrogate. You just spam the crap out of that thing and they won't die even once they go down. It's like that they have this brief moment of invulnerability, or they have extra HP after you down them with the Cav pistol. I don't know what it is, but man, it's really frustrating.
That's got to be it, surely.
It's really frustrating.
Yeah, that's definitely. Well, I do see kind of the gimmick behind it, I guess you could say, but I would imagine it is quite aggravating.
Jacuzzi, in chat, compared it to the Blackbeard shield, which I guess makes sense, but like it makes you wonder, like Blackbeard, the way that works, I assume. I again don't know much about programming or game development, but like I assume they have something which says, okay, when the bullet hits the shield takes damage, and the person behind the shield doesn't take damage. And once the shield has reached, like, it probably like, okay, send damage, check how much health the shield has. If it reaches 0, shield breaks. And during that time, when that calculation is happening in the animation, no bullets can go through to the Blackbeard's face. With Caviera, surely it's not like that. Surely it's like, all right, did Caviera's pistol kill, do enough damage to down? Yes,
it's
I don't know.
Down, like when the down animation is being played, you can't shoot them through. So there's a slight period of that. That's just a general thing, because if it's just that the sheer fact that Cav's pistol on the body shots wouldn't deal, I guess, as much damage or something. But I mean, because for me it was like a mixed pack of results, because sometimes I would be able to tap the guy in the head with a pistol and then give another 2 taps to the head, and that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas the other times I would have to, like you mentioned, spam the ever-living crap out of that pistol to even just get rid of the guy, and then I would end up without any ammo, and then get wrecked.
I often run Cav with the shoddy as primary, so you can pop hatches, because it's really useful. Like, you can save your impacts for walls. And then you're relying on your pistol for mid to long range gunfights. Like, you find someone, you down them, you want to finish them, so you keep spamming. By the time they actually die while they're downed, you've got like no ammo in your pistol. And so if someone's peeking, which is often what happens after you down someone as Cav, the entire enemy team comes after you. Like, unless you're in close quarters and can whip out the shotgun, you're just really screwed. So, no, I find that really frustrating. We need to talk about something positive, though. We've been harping on about Cav for too long. Let's talk about there's only so much we can say about the new map, I feel. From playing on it for one casual match on the Southeast Asian servers with some lovely Southeast Asians who actually let me play Nomad. Just gonna throw that out there. Thank you, people. I had to wait 4 rounds, but I did get my hands on it eventually. It's nice. It's really close quarters. Like, there is a lot of close quarters. it's going to be a shotgun map, I reckon. And I think that close quarters maps, in my opinion, tend to be more defender favored because defenders tend to have the better close range weapons. So I'll be interested to see after people learn the map. Like, maps are always defender favored at the start because defenders can just sit around. But after we wait around, after everyone kind of learns the map, I'll be interested to see whether it's going to be defender favored, whether my theory is right. But I like it. I mean, nice art style. I had a lot of trouble seeing an enemy today, which I put on Twitter, and I think I got a bit of sympathy from people. Not sure, but yeah, I think it'll be a good map. I'm hopeful. There's not that much destructible walls and floors. It's something I noticed. Like, there's a lot of sandstone, which you can't break, mainly in the floors and ceilings. So I guess maybe not as much vertical play as previous maps. But I can't wait for it to come in, especially since it's coming to ranked.
Yeah, I mean, this could pop open a few good plays, a few different plays. I haven't honestly played, but maybe Skye, you would have a better idea because I'm clueless at the moment.
Yeah, I'm pretty clueless. I've spent like all afternoon downloading it. But
Yeah.
we can hop on that like literally right after this podcast if you boys want to play.
Yeah, sure.
I don't have it downloaded.
Oh, that's another thing about being in ANZ. Like, I mean, especially Australia, like, not great internet. Just gonna point out,
And Zed, on the other hand,
your friendly reminder that Cafe, Skyscraper, Chalet, Hereford, and Theme
Hereford
Park
Bay.
are still in the ranked rotation. Just
Thanks
pointing
for
it out
reminding me, Dev.
there. Just in case your day was going a bit too well and you need something to bring you down.
Hashtag justice for cafe.
You like Cafe, do you? Is it just because it's Russian, or do you actually like Cafe?
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. They brought a fair few good plays, all things considered. But I do have to agree with that. It does need a little bit of rework, because it's just getting a bit too stale.
And Broken pointed out in chat that night mode maps are gone from ranked, which is awesome. I just don't understand how they can do that and then still leave like theme park in. And I'm trying to find, like, I'm actually a little bit ticked off because there were a lot of changes that I read this whole patch notes. I didn't find a lot of the changes that then like Intero was posting on Twitter. Like, night mode's gone from ranked. Maybe I'm missing that in here. I'm not going to read it all while I'm on the podcast, but maybe I'm missing that from in here. And then, like, Intero said that Cafe's getting a rework, but not this season. You know, where is this stuff on the official platforms? Why are we hearing it from Intero? That does frustrate me a little bit, but... One other thing is the throwable trajectories have changed. Kind of like a couple seasons ago, we got the movement-affected grenades and stun grenades. So apparently the throw curves have been changed to be more comfortable and easier to use. It's going to be all gadgets except Nitro Cell. I don't know. I guess you'll have to wait and see and feel it for yourself.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think the new season, it looks good. Don't get me wrong, I think there's going to be a few things that need to be, slightly adjusted. But I think that's pretty easy to do with the patch here and there. But yeah, it's mostly just going to be about people testing out the new stuff, testing out the new map, and all that good stuff.
We had a bunch of cool stuff happen, but like, we're not going to go through it all. If you're interested, go to the Ubisoft website. There's a bunch of cool news. Like, there's an article about how PayPal's now a sponsor for Pro League, which is really cool. Like, we're getting more sponsors than all the time. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Legion by Lenovo, which is everyone's favorite.
Savage.
Savage on the inside. So, like, I think it's really cool. Like, we've got HyperX as well, and now PayPal, which is a pretty big international company. So, I think this is just all good stuff, and it shows
They're growing every day.
Yeah, and like, year 3 is going to be. We're in year 3 right now, right? So year 4 is going to be good. I'm looking forward to it, especially since like season 9 will be starting soon and going into year 4. So I think year 4 is going to be good. More sponsors coming into the scene, hopefully more bigger events. Like, we've just gone up from like 1K live viewers to 10K with this season final. So I'm excited for it.
Definitely.
The turnout's been good as well. 40 viewers. That's not bad for like no announcement.
Yeah, thanks.
That's respectable. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah. Yeah, because we just kind of did this because we felt like having a chat about the Rio finals. So everyone who tuned in, thank you very much. But I think we're going to wrap it there. For any of the news that we've talked about, we'll post a link on Twitter. Skye, I'll send you all these links, and then we can just chuck them on Twitter so people can go out. So go to @TalkingSiege on Twitter for just a nice little digest, all this cool stuff wrapped together. But I think that's it from us. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and catch you guys for the next time.
Also, before
Go
we
for it.
bail, we do also need to mention and give a big shout out to Audio Technica as well for the support on the podcast.
Yep. So you might have seen that we've got where is it, over here on the screen. We've got some new logos. We've got Ubisoft. Obviously, we're using their channel. So massive thanks to Ubisoft Australia, the team of guys there that have been hooking us up with some really cool stuff. Audio Technica have been really nice to us. So I think are you guys both wearing your Audio Technicas?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am.
So if you want to look as stylish on the outside as these two guys, you know where to go, Audio Technica. And of course, R6ANZ, because they've supported us ever since we were named after them. So thanks. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add before we wrap up?
I think I'm Gucci.
All right. Cheers, guys, for coming out, and we'll see you guys next time.
Hey.